Now I'm happy to introduce a short video that's about the journey of two people and their great meeting and how they met here in BC. I'd like to introduce you to Jorge and Araphat. Jorge André from Ecuador and Araphat Katangol is from Uganda. And they both met each other at Rainbow Refugee, where they've become great friends. Jorge is a psychology student and an LGBTQ refugee from Ecuador. He has a long story, but after 5 years of unsuccessful conversion therapy, he opened his eyes and became an LGBTQ activist and campaigned against conversion therapy. He was exposed to national media and received death threats. So he seized the opportunity of an international scholarship to seek protection in Canada. His dream is to become a counselor and to prevent others to go through what he went through, just to accept his own sexuality. Araphat works full-time in construction while volunteering for Rainbow Refugee. He came as a government-sponsored refugee in 2014 and became a Canadian citizen in 2018. He says that he was involved in community programs back in Uganda, and helping others has always been part of his life. His dream is to serve refugees in a place to call home because, as he says, he's found his home. So here's the story of their friendship.
Hi everyone, my name is Jorge and I'm very happy to be here with you even though it's a different platform. And I'm gonna tell you a little bit about my story. So I'm an LGBTQ refugee from Ecuador and I decided to come here because I was facing persecution as an LGBTQ activist back home. So as early as I was 5-6 years old, I found out that I was gay. And because I grew up in a fundamentalist Christian family, they told me that I will go to hell as a gay person. So I never told anyone, but I was having a lot of troubles at school. I was very mad at myself for being gay. And when I was 11 years old, I told my church counselor, and she told me, you need to tell your parents so they can help you pray the gay away. So when I was 12, I told them, you know, I wanna get out of this. Please help me. And they were still very mad. And they told me, you're just confused. You know, that's just a phase. But I knew it wasn't. So my mom told me about this group called The Way Out from Exodus International. And that's how at 12 years old, I began conversion therapy. And I was there for 5 years. Those were like the hardest 5 years of my life. From 12 to 17 years old, I was reading the Bible every day. I was like praying, doing everything that they told me to. And I was frustrated because nothing changed. I was still gay. And that made me a very depressed teenager. I was having a lot of issues. I even attempted suicide. So it was very hard for me until one day when I was 17 years old, my brother saw me in a very bad state. And he told me, hey, Jorge, you actually don't need to fight against it because I don't think it's right. I think there's nothing wrong with being gay. That was shocking to me because that was the first time someone told me there's nothing wrong with being gay. So I cried very much. I was shocked by what he was saying, and that opened my eyes. So we began receiving a lot of threats from different organizations, religious groups that were really mad because we were dragging people to hell thinking that homosexuality was okay and not a sin as they believed. And it became very troublesome because I was also working and they realized that I was gay because it was all out, and I was fired for my job for that reason, even though it was unconstitutional to do so. And then my school was doing a partnership with BIU in Nanaimo, and I said, okay, this is my chance to finally get out of this and stop being so, you know, fearful of everything. So I decided to take an exchange semester, and that's how I came to Canada. I decided to start a refugee claim in December 2017, and things were very difficult. But luckily, in one of the drop-ins, even though I was feeling so lonely and very homesick, I met Araphat. And that was very nice because we started building a friendship, we started volunteering together, and I stopped feeling alone. I began volunteering in other organizations like I Belong and Mosaic, BAS, and others, and it made me feel like I was starting to build a home here in Canada. So the claim was hard to make. It took a long time, but I finally passed my hearing. And after all the trouble I went through, I finally was able to go back to school. I was finally able to get a travel document. I saw my family after more than 2 years in Mexico, thanks to that. And things are starting working out. And now I can really say that I feel like Canada is my home. And I feel very, very attached to this country. I'm very happy to be here.
Hi, everyone. I'm Araphat Katongole from Uganda. I came to Canada because I felt it was a comfortable place for me to live. It's not something that I take privilege in, I would say, because most of my friends died. I saw people who lost lives because of who they are. I grew up in a family whereby my parents were so religious. We couldn't even talk about a man having intersection like with a man. You couldn't even think about touching a man or even holding hands with men. So everything with me was kept private. I grew up like a private life because I didn't want to socialize people. I was the kind of person who like guys, and if I saw guys, if I wanted guys, I would get this connection. So I would rather keep private, and I kept it private until when I got to the age of 18. So I got a job and I started working. But again, in the world where like you're 18, you're in puberty, you start believing in yourself. Am I the only person in the world? Am I who I am in the world? Or are there other people like me somewhere out there? I was in one of the organizations, and while we were doing one of the meetings that we had previously, the police found out that we were carrying out this stuff. So we were raided. We were raided out, and most of my colleagues were taken to the police, to the prison. We were in a cell like for 6 days. It was my first time being in a prison and being in a police custody. So we were outed on the social media, like on the all the TV stations came to see who we are. And my mom found out through the social media, through the TV. So my friends, my bosses, the people who knew me in a different world found out through the TV. So I couldn't go back home. Around October 2014, I arrived in Canada. Like, it's different when you come here because first you're black, second you're gay. It's a challenging world to get someone who understands you and a family who is there to accept you who you are. And luckily, I found Rainbow Refugee. For me, I call them family because I got to meet people. I got to find friends that I connect with. If only the society would see people differently, not because of their color or the rest and stuff, and they see us as humans, because regardless of who we are all humans. That's what I would say.
So we want to thank everyone for watching us, for being here, and I especially want to thank Rainbow Refugee. They have been a family to me, especially Chris, Pat, Chema, Charlene, and Mariana, and I belong. And I also want to thank MAP. MAP has been a really great organization, and Jenny Moss she's an amazing woman, and I feel so happy having worked together with her.
I want to say thank you. Actually, him. First, I would rather thank you for being a friend to me. That's the best part of it. Thank you.
Same.
And I want to say thank you for Rainbow Refugee, Chris, Shailene, all the people that are helping me settle in here. I feel like it's home. For me, it's home. Like, I don't need to show it, but it's home. They don't see who I am or colors or something. They see a brother. They see what's inside me. Thank you, everyone.
And even now we're distant, but we're together.